In this video, I will demonstrate how to perform the chi-squared test for independence on the Texas Instruments 83 Plus calculator. I will be using example 2 from the section entitled Test for Independence in Chapter 11, the chi-squared distribution. In example 2, we have the data from a sample of adult volunteers that lists the type of volunteer and the number of hours that each of those volunteers worked. We're going to complete this test using the matrix feature on the Texas Instruments calculator. You could complete this test in a similar fashion to the test for goodness of fit, making a list of all the expected values, but this is far quicker and allows the calculator to do most of the heavy calculations for us. The first thing to do is to set up the matrix of observed values. And to do that, you press second and then matrix. It's right here below the math key, second matrix. Then go over to edit. Don't worry if there are numbers next to any of these names, but go over to edit and press enter for the first one. Now we're going to enter the numbers that are given in the table under example 2, but we are not going to enter the column totals or the row totals. We're just going to enter the observed values. So this includes the 9 numbers in the middle of the table, and that will require us to make a 3 by 3 matrix. And if you change the numbers next to matrix A to 3 times 3, you'll get a 3 by 3 matrix, all zeros to start out, unless this matrix had numbers in it to begin with, but don't worry if it did. You can just type over those numbers. Next, I'm going to enter the data. The first number represents the community college students who volunteered 1 to 3 hours. Next will be community college students who volunteered 4 to 6 hours, and so on. Then continue until you've filled in the entire matrix. Now that we have the entire matrix filled in, we can perform the chi-squared test for independence. To do this, we need to first quit this particular function of the calculator. So press second and quit. And that'll take you back to the regular calculator screen. Then press stat, go over to tests, and choose chi-squared test. You'll see it looks like a funny cursive X. It's near the bottom of the list, and that's the one that we're going to use. This asks you for 2 matrix entries, one for the observed values, which we just typed in, matrix A. If you typed it into one of the other matrices, then you'll have to change that to whatever matrix you used for your observed values. The second is for expected values, but don't worry, we don't have to compute those, the calculator will. It just wants to know where to put those. Now, if you want to put them somewhere other than B, or if you want to specify that the observed values are somewhere other than A, you'll press matrix, second, and matrix. And then choose the matrix that you want. For example, I can change to C if I want to, it really doesn't matter. And now it'll put my expected values into matrix C. Finally, go down to calculate and press enter. Here the calculator has listed off the chi-squared value, 12.99, the p-value, 0.011. So I think you probably know what's going to happen is that we're going to conclude that there is evidence to suggest that the type of volunteer is related to the number of hours that that volunteer volunteers. The degrees of freedom are 4, as you know from the PowerPoint presentation. That represents the number of rows minus 1 times the number of columns minus 1. Finally, if you're interested in the expected values for the this particular test, you can go to press matrix, and then go down to the matrix that you chose for the the expected values. I chose A, press enter, and then press enter again. And I guess that it went off the screen, didn't it? Another way you can see all of the values for this particular matrix is to go to Matrix and go over to Edit. And now, by editing, you can see all of the numbers. And those are the expected values for this particular chi-square test.